What we've got here is failure to communicate.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay, the moon landing, which is obviously fake.
No, it's not obviously fake.
No, that's actually not what
Are you
The moon landing is
crazy?
definitely fake, by the way.
The moon
100%
landing's not-
fake. The
what?
shadows are off.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. I've looked at photos on the internet and it
Yeah,
proves it.
Nick,
The
that's...
shadows are off. The shadows are off.
shadows
The shadows
are not-
are off.
It's the Al Travis Show, and our next guest is a pleasure to have on. She is Senator Julia Coleman. Senator, thank you for being here.
Hey, happy to be on. Great way to start my week after a long Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, well, your name was invoked in the last half hour, so I'd like to give you the opportunity to comment. Your thoughts?
Oh, I I wasn't clinched in then. I hope it was good.
It was Shannon Watson with Majority in the Middle, and we were discussing the reason to have or not have a special session, and she brought up your bill, which was I'm going to call it swatting, but that isn't it. What is it? A straw buying. What do you call it? Straw
Purchase bill, yeah.
Straw purchase. That was your bill. She kind of talked us through it that you got it passed, but it was put into, it didn't pass finance, copy and paste, you put it into another, it ended up in the omnibus bill, and that was tied with the binary trigger thing, and that was what was pulled out of that omnibus bill by that lawyer in Ramsey County, the judge in Ramsey County, correct?
Correct.
So what happens from here? And we had tied it in with the shooting, but I'm not real sure this had anything to do with the straw purchase. How do you get that back, Senator?
Well, obviously there's talk of a special session just to talk about gun-related legislation. I would say I'm 50-50 on whether or not I see that special session actually come to fruition or not. And if special session does not happen, then there's going to be a big scramble to see what was in that bill, even if it hasn't gotten pulled out, even if nobody else challenged it, just to put, suspenders on it. How can we re-put everything we want in there into legislation just to make sure it doesn't get taken out should that bill get completely shut down in its entirety?
Okay. Let's talk about a special session. You say you're 50-50 on this. Except for a political stunt, I don't understand how the math works. And back to Shannon, she listed 5 different reasons why the governor would call one, expend all your ammo, if you pardon the expression, and use up all his political clout to see if he can get something passed on his way out the door. If he still wants to be governor, is this the hot button issue that could get him over the top? Is he want to run for president? Well, guess what? I got this gun ban thing done. My point is, it seems all political.
It absolutely is political, and you're absolutely correct. The math is not there. They need 34 votes to pass anything in the Senate. Both parties are down 1. So there is no party currently holding 34. And in the House, the Republicans currently hold the majority right now for a very unfortunate, horrendous reason, but they do. The math just isn't there. And so what it is a stunt to say, Republicans blocked X, Y, and Z. And the blood of these children are on their hands, and that's going to go into a mailer as we're going into an election year. And there's been no effort. I haven't received a call from anybody on the other side of the aisle saying, what can we pass so this isn't a circus, so this isn't theater? What can we actually sit down and talk about and get done if we are going to get called to a special session? I will say that it's going to have to be a very calculated move on behalf of the governor, because Speaker Damas needs to sign off on what the parameters of that special session would look like. And if he calls one without that agreement, then it's a free-for-all. We do not have to just talk about gun bills. We can talk about anything under the sun. And that's risky. That's a risky move.
Let me ask you this, and again, we agree both of these incidents are very tragic. The one with the Hoffmans and the Hortmans, this guy, obviously, my opinion, I'm no doctor, was a loon. But he was a smart enough loon to go find the mask, to go find the police outfit to make his car look like, and plan out his stuff. The kid here with the shooting at the Annunciation School, obviously had issues. I mean, obviously had issues for other reasons, and how he went about committing his suicide was, not the same as this guy over here. They're both tragic, but what gun law would have stopped either one?
Well, that's, I think, exactly the point. And I was speaking to somebody about ammunition limits, and they said, Senator, one piece of plastic, I'll get around your law if that's what you do.
Wait. Or duct tape. You see it in the movies, Die Hard, right? He just duct taped 216 mags together, and then you flip them over. It takes you half a second. So, but my point is, none of that would have stopped either one of these. And I lay this out. If guns were not even available in America, we're seeing people run people over with cars. This kid could have drove his dad's SUV through the stained glass window. To me, we're solving problems that are ancillary at best, and not trying to get to the root of the actual problem. Is what's going on, and how do we not? Let's go with the Hoffman and Hortman deal. How did no friend of his, no roommate of his, how do you not notice what weird stuff was going on, from buying a car and making it look like a police car? Is that even legal? I don't know.
I don't want to speculate, but I don't believe for 1 second that his wife didn't know what was happening. That's just my personal feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to find out a lot more as the investigation continues. But as far as what happened last Wednesday, I mean, I dropped my son off at kindergarten very first day at a Catholic school,
mm-hmm.
and found myself sprinting out of a doctor's office a couple hours later, wanting to go get my baby, only for the school to tell me we are on lockdown. And his whole first week of school, he was unable to even go outside. And that's terrible for little boys. And I'm
mm-hmm.
looking there realizing that security is lacking. And knowing, taking off my senator hat and being a terrified mother for a minute,
mm-hmm.
knowing that I can't legislate away evil. I can't.
Yeah.
And if there was a gun law that could prevented that from happening, I would take a really good hard look at it. But all I can see when I'm dropping my kids off at school is there needs to be somebody at every single school center to protect these children. And we're talking about all the security measures we're going to take at the Capitol for us.
No.
Well, I want to put those on pause until we're talking about all the security measures we're going to take for our most precious asset, which is our kids. And so if there's a special session, I mean, that is what I sincerely hope focuses on.
And again, you're 50-50. Is this not something we can wait until February? I don't even know if when we get the elections over, right? I mean, you talked about the being down 2 on one side and 1 on the other. That all gets figured out by, I think, the first Tuesday in November, correct? I don't remember when the dates of the elections are.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first Tuesday in November. So you're not going to have it before then. You find out who wins, who loses. Can we not wait another 8 weeks, get to February, and then just decide regular session?
We could. I think that, one, it's advantageous for the Democrats to just go and have a wasted special session right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's my sincere hope, though, that if Republicans say, okay, we're going to show up and offer a solution that would actually work, which is having an SRO at every single school in this state, that somebody would think about this. But keep in mind, Al, there's some of their own senators that can't take some of these votes. I mean, if I'm a Grant Hochschild or a Senator Kupek up in the Iron Range, they are looking at their upcoming election going, I don't know if I should have taken those gun bill votes my very first year. I think they took a lot of bad votes their first year thinking people would have a short memory. Well, not in the Iron Range. And so could some of their members have to sit this one out? So I there's so much up in the air, and I just know that at the end of the day, I am a senator, but I am a mother first, and I will work very, very hard to say enough with this political game. Sorry, I almost swore on your show. Enough with this political game. We need to make sure our kids are protected. End of story.
I'm with you 100%. Don't ever hold back. Coming to close to almost swearing is about as racy as we get here, so I appreciate you. On the other side of the break, what I'd like to do is talk about why is mental health not something we're talking about as far as getting more money for. We had a naked guy in your Senate chambers saying he's the governor, and that wasn't enough to get him a quick talk with a Dr. Phil or somebody. Let's talk about some of that on the other side. I've got her, Senator Julia Coleman.
Think about it. Now that school's out for the summer, how are Minnesota students doing? Not very well. Minnesota ACT scores fell again last year and are the lowest they've been in 10 years. In fact, fewer than half of Minnesota students can either read or do math at grade level. Think about it. We used to brag about our schools. Now we're losing to states like Mississippi. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
You know that car sound that sounds like a cricket playing a banjo? Jays can fix that. You know when you step on the brakes and your car sounds like a pair of tennis shoes in the dryer? Paul is a guy who specializes in that. And you know that sound that never happens when the mechanic's around? Paul took a whole course on that. If you own a car, you need to know Paul. Paul owns Jay's Auto Shop, 202 North Main Street, Blue Earth, 525-1052, 525-1052.
As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
And we've got our Senator Julia Coleman. I appreciate you being here. Senator, I get it. I'm a gun guy in that I have them. I've trained with them. None of them have ever done anything I didn't ask them to do. They sit in their locked closet without me doing anything. They're going to stay there. So I look at this, I know, differently than most. When I see the last two shootings here in Minnesota for different reasons, and then the guy at the Capitol, it all seems to be mental health to me. We have bad people who are having tough times or going through bad things, whatever you want to say, that aren't getting the help they need. They carried a naked guy to the hospital saying he thinks he's the governor, and we sent him home. Wouldn't it something to look at other than what we do with these guns is what we do with the people that seem to be a little off bubble?
I think you're spot on. Somebody who is mentally sound doesn't just go and shoot up a school or a workplace. I mean, something is going on there, and I think people need to keep in mind at the end of the day. I was speaking to the Archbishop after a prayer service, just talking about how I feel like every single person in St. Paul failed those children. And he took my hand and he said, "You cannot legislate away evil.
No.
You cannot. You could take away every firearm and pass hundreds of bills, but if an evil person wants to do something evil, that's the end of it." And, Senate Republicans in 2022, we increased bed space. And it was expensive, but we increased bed space for children and adults for mental health. And we attempted to do so again from the minority, and we're unsuccessful. And yes, it's a holistic approach. We need to, like my straw purchase bill, we needed to make it harder for criminals to get guns. Absolutely. That wouldn't have stopped this here.
Yep.
We need to absolutely protect our schools. That might have done something here. And yes, we need to increase capacity for mental health care in this country and in this state. But you can't force somebody to do that. And it sounds like, this person wasn't seeking the help that they so desperately needed. And so at the end of the day, there's so many things we can do and try to do. But the only thing that is going to stop an evil person with a gun is a good person with a gun. And I get flack from some people in my district saying, your solution to a gun problem in this country is adding more guns. I said, well, I'm not going to arm them with a banana. They're going to be armed with cars. And yes, I want that for my children because I'm asking for it for myself at the Capitol.
Yeah. Well, and I get the Capitol thing. That drives me crazy. Again, would not have changed what happened. The gun laws was not a problem at the Capitol. The guy got in there with a door wedge, right? I mean, the security is an issue. I guess I'm looking at, what will the Republicans stand up for if the governor pushes for the special session? If there's enough outcry, can the Republicans say only if we talk mental health as well? Only if we get something here, or is it going to be all or nothing? We're going to ban assault rifles because the world is ticked off, even if this doesn't solve all the problems we've seen in Minnesota. Will the Republicans stand up and get more out of it than just let's ban guns?
I think Republicans are going to certainly try. It would only pass the House, though, I would imagine.
Yep. Okay.
And so what this is there are Minnesotans that opportunity to kind of false flag special session and say, look, they're not doing anything about it. And I think, with the exception of yours truly, like yourself, I don't see the media not falling for that narrative here.
Wow, and that's crappy on my part. Because I go through this, I would also like to look at, because again, I'm trying to boil it all down. This guy put it a manifesto or video up online. I don't know how the people who got that, I mean, you put them on because you have friends or whatever on Facebook, whatever you call them, on LinkedIn or whatever you're on. Somebody had to see that and realize it was disturbing, but didn't feel comfortable calling to get help. I find it hard to believe this guy was living with his mother. His mother didn't know, I don't know, whatever his name is, is off bubble. There's a problem here, but everybody is so scared to bring it up to somebody, to go to a counselor, to go to the sheriff's office and say, you know what, my kid's drawing weird photos. He's putting stuff online. How are we not okay with that by today, America, 2025, that if you see something, say something?
Yeah, I would say, too, that just talking to other legislators who have been struggling since what happened on the 14th, a lot of them are getting a firsthand look at how bad our mental health services are. I was talking to a constituent even who needed to get in for an emergency psych appointment, and the first appointment she could get in for was a week.
Yeah.
And so there's so many gaps, and the problem is so big, and the best we can try to do is to take genuine bites out of this apple rather than play games.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I hope you can pull something off like that. In reality, I hope we can all take time to go through this. And I don't even know if maybe we need one of the, a Bureau of Criminal Apprehension and that sort of thing. Maybe we need somebody that is literally paid by us to figure out the reasons why people do this. Some you can just find out they're crazy, and we can write that off. Some you can say this led to this, led to this. But we've got a bigger handle on why, not what. We know what shot what, but we need to know why.
Exactly. And again, there's only so much you can do. And the best thing you can do is make sure that while we're figuring out what causes this, that our kids are protected. And I hope that people are willing to reach their hand out across the aisle and say, yes, we can agree on this, so let that be what we get done.
There you go. I love that. I'm out of time. Senator, I thank you for taking time to be on the program with us today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me, Al.
Senator Julia Coleman on the Al Travis Show.